Hi everyone, and welcome to SolidWorks training again. My name is Sydney from FTC Team 3525, and during this segment I will be creating and modifying parts. So let's get started. So what we're first going to do is we're going to create a cube. So I'm going to show you how to draw parts, use extruded boss or base, and do an extruded cut. So open up SolidWorks if you haven't already, and select New. Again, there's Part, Assembly, and Drawing. You want to select Part, and you click OK. So you may notice that your tools are different from your assembly, mostly because there is not very much overlap with assembly and parts. They're done significantly differently. So, the first thing you want to do is select a plane. So there's a front, a top, and a right. It currently does not matter, so I'm going to select the front. And you may see this little box come up. You want to select Normal to. If you did not see that little box, that's fine. You just come up here to View Orientation, and the Normal to is right there. You can also select that. If you select it again, it flips you to the other side. There's not too big of a difference. So, one of the most important aspects of the part is that you need to have a sketch. So because we're going to make a cube, you want to select Sketch. And actually selecting just Sketch doesn't do anything. You have over 12 options. It doesn't look, there's only 12 here, but you can do things multiple different ways if you select on the drop downs. So I'm going to click on the corner rectangle, and I am just going to draw right here a rough square. It's actually not bad. It's one of the best squares I've drawn by freehand. So, however, we don't know if this is exactly a square. So what you can do is you can select a side, make sure you deselect it like I just did. It was light blue and now it's just a dark blue. And you can change the length under the parameter section to, let's go with 2. So now you see that it has made the adjustment. You can still move it, but when you put that in, it sets it for 2 inches. Smart Dimension, however, locks it into place. So if I select this, I can change this value. And not only does it display 2 inches, but it makes sure that it is 2 inches. Another way to make sure that this line never changes is you can use this anchor here, which is to fix it. It's similar to the lock on the mate, where it does not allow this line to move whatsoever. Cannot drag. The select item is fixed. If you select on this, you may also notice there are other constricting relations. This one is vertical, this one should be horizontal, and that is what gives us the 90 degrees in our square. So now we have a 2-inch by 2-inch square. But that is not a cube, it's a square. Geometry. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this other tab, Features. You're going to select Extruded Boss or Base. And you may notice now that it looks a bit more 3D. There's this yellow square-like thing coming out. This is the extrude. And this is what controls how much is coming out. So here it's only 0.1 inches. Let's change that to 2. You can also change where this is coming out of. This says from sketch plane. You can be from the surface of the face plane. That's not going to change anything. You can say offset, and you can put in a value like, I don't know, 1. That's 10. So now we have a cube, and that is how you use the extruded cut, the extruded boss. I'm going to show you now how to do the extruded cut. Now we extended it this way. And so for this example, it is crucial that you cut here or on the other side of this one, on the same like front plane-ish. Oh, sorry. This was on the right plane, I believe. So, I'm going to select the face, this face, and I'm going to bring it normal 2. And now that we actually have a model in here, we can use the faces of our object as planes as well. So you have this plane, and I'm going to draw this rough square. I'm going to use Smart Dimension on each of these sides. So I'm going to select this edge and this edge. Oop, I did not select the edge. Oopsies. I'm going to select this edge and this edge. And you notice that it pops up in between a value. I'm going to say 0.2. I am going to do the same for these. Awesome. So, now that we have that, let us select the sketch and let's extruded cut. Alright, there we go. Let me delete this one first, actually. Get a better look at this. Alright, so we have this square that's cut all the way through. But, like I said earlier, what if I went back and changed this to 3 because the measurement I took was incorrect? Let's say 3. It doesn't cut through all the way anymore. Well, I didn't exactly mean to change that, right? You could go back to your cut, extrude, and edit that. What you do is you click on it, and in this little square you click edit feature. And I could change it to 3, but that wouldn't really solve my problem the next time I fix it and make it longer. So to make sure it goes through all the time, under direction, you want to click on the blind drop down, and you want to say through all. So now, every time I change this value to get even longer, I'm actually going to do that right now to give you guys a heads up of what that might look like. It always cuts all the way through. So one last thing before we finish up with this cube, I'm going to show you how to use the fillet tool. And the fillet tool, as it says, creates a rounded internal or external face along an edge. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to click on, like it says, an edge. And you see that it rounds that off. So I'm going to select a couple more sides because I feel like it. I'm going to hit check. And now you can see that it has rounded this off as opposed to these that have not been. If you do robotics and you make your own custom parts, you often notice that you have to always shave off these edges, or when you go to the competition, the judges will tell you to file those sharp edges down. Well, in your CAD program, you can mimic that by making those edges smoother. Alright, that's our first part. You can save it if you want. I'm not going to. And let's make a new part. I'm going to show you how to use a couple other things under part. So I'm going to hit OK. And let's make a ring, kind of like a donut. I'll even show you what the plan for that is. So I'm going to make it a plastic piece. So I'm going to show you how to draw the part, how to use the rotate boss or base for all of those rounded off pieces, for those circular pieces, and how to change the color in the material. Okay, so let's select a plane again. Let's go with the front. And I am going to draw a circle. Okay, I'm going to change this diameter by selecting this to 1. Sorry, that's the radius. Geometry skills right there. And under this line, I'm going to click center line. I'm going to draw this line up and down like that. As you're drawing lines, you may notice that they have the tendency to lock into place in some areas, like this one locked into place. So that's usually very helpful when you want to get certain things perfectly perpendicular or parallel. It's always a nice addition. So now I'm going to click Smart Dimension. And let's change that to a bigger value, like 3. Okay, that sounds good. So now that I have this sketched out, I'm going to go back to Features, and I'm going to select Revolved Boss or Base. And now you have this yellow-like donut, which looks really cool, in my opinion. You can also change how much you want to make, like how many degrees it turns. So like I could say 270. And it looks like someone took a bite out of it. Something like that. So I'm just going to say on a really strange number like 356. Put a little cut in there. Why not? So that looks good to me. I hit the check mark. And now I have this donut-like thing. And you may not use donut or rings in your robot, but you can make curved pieces of plastic this way. You can also draw curved pieces using such as the circles, curves, ellipses, etc., and then just extrude them out. But this is a really easy way to get very circular pieces. We made those last two parts, but maybe you don't want to actually make a part. Maybe you just want to edit one, because through experience I know that a lot of people just cut up those channels like no other. So the lengths of those vary significantly. So let's go back to, well actually, don't open up new, click on open. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and select our 288mm channel. I'm going to show you a couple things to do with it, and I'll show you what I have planned. So we're going to do two things with it. We're going to cut the part, so I'm going to show you how to cut the channel, and then I'm going to show you how to turn it into the 416mm, because that is not on there. Not in the Tetrix file that you have downloaded earlier. So, to cut a part, you want to select a face. So I'm going to bring this one towards me. And now that you have a plane selected, you want to select Sketch, Corner Rectangle. And I am just going to come up in this corner. And I'm going to lob off about something like this. Okay. So what I'm hoping to leave here is just this top piece. And I'm going to go in about 3 inches. So I'm going to leave the top piece and cut that. So I'm going to click on Features, Extruded Cut. I'm going to change it 3 inches. Type in the IN. And it shows us this. So I'm going to hit check. Voila! We've left this top piece here, but we have shaved that out. You can also cut from the side. I'm going to show you how to do that too. Bring this face here. I am going to draw a line. And when you're drawing sketches to cut things out, I recommend you make closed polygons. Well, that's the definition of a polygon, is it actually has to be closed. But nonetheless, you want to make sure that you're not just drawing a line, because it makes it a little easier when you're cutting things. Sometimes it'll complain and ask what to cut, or it says that it cannot cut because it's an open figure, and that means that somewhere in your drawing there's a hole and you need to go through and find it. But here you go. Now we've cut that end off. If you want to save this, make sure you save it as a different file so that way you don't go over the original. So now that I've done this, I'm just going to undo everything that I've just done. Alright. So now I'm going to show you how to make the 416 millimeter long, and this is going to involve editing original actions. So what I'm going to do is when I mouse over these, it shows me what piece what aspect of the part it modifies. Like here you can see these are modifying the holes. So I'm going to select the extrude. That controls the length, and I'm going to click on edit. And let's change this value from 288 to 416 millimeters. There you go. So now if I hit the check mark, now the holes look all wonky. So what this program uses also is a hole wizard, or a pretty much something that helps duplicate holes, so you don't have to draw every single hole over and over and over and over. And you can use those such as mirror entities, linear sketch pattern, and in these specifically there's hole wizard, linear pattern, and pretty much you need to play around a little bit with them to understand them a little more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mouse over to this L pattern, edit. So I'm going to change this value. This says how many on each side how many holes are going to be there. So I'm going to say 13. And see, now the holes go all the way to that end. But that's only one side. What about this one? So I'm going to go to this one as well. I'm going to say 13 as well. So now you see that the yellow circles have pretty much covered this thing. So that's what we're looking for. So now I'm going to hit the check mark. There we go. So now we have those holes in place, but we're missing the suns on the end, those having all of these holes around the flowery pattern. So I'm going to mouse over to the mirror. Actually, it's not the mirror. I apologize. The mirror is doing what it's supposed to. It's the L pattern again. So if I go to edit, I'm going to change this from 3 to 4. And now that I've changed it to 4, you notice that there is a little bit of an overhang, this little 4 dots here. But because there's nothing there, it's nothing to worry about. And when we check OK, this side here will be mirrored, as you saw. That was at the very end that it mirrors this action. So now you have an accurate 416 millimeter channel that you've modified yourself. So I'm going to click Save As. I'm going to say 416. And I've already done this, so I'm just going to save over it. And there you have it. That concludes this tutorial about parts. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them.